recording. Hate it. Okay, guys. Dave's LFC chats. Hit the like, hit the share. You know what to do. Hit it like Paddy the Baddy. You know what to do, guys. The legend. He's back. Gareth Roberts is in the house. Thank you very much for coming on, Gareth. Fair play to you for coming on. And any time is a good time to talk about the Reds, isn't it?
Well, I mean, ordinarily I'd say that, wouldn't you? But it's not been the greatest of starts to the season. But always a pleasure to see you, Dave, and have a natter with you. You're always an upbeat person, aren't you? So they're the type of people you should put yourself next to at times like these.
You know what? I'll second that. I'll second that. Fair play to you. I'll take that medal. I'll take that medal, baby. Yeah, look. We're not, look, we know about Twitter. You to be on Twitter, I to be on Twitter. Try stay off it as much as I can, but it is sort of important to be on it at the same time. Instagram and all these social media stuff that just fucking melts down whenever Liverpool draw or even let in a goal, never mind lose a fucking game. And it's been crazy for the last few weeks. Not only was it crazy before we kicked the ball against Fulham, but it was crazy in the window. I mean, did you see the stuff that went on the window? And,
it's
John W. Henry was more interesting point of view.
I think you made an actual serious point there, Dave, which is I honestly think as time is going to go on, and it's a bit deep this for a little LFC chat, but I do think as time's going to go on, you're almost going to get sort of health warnings around, use of the internet, because it really isn't good for you. Do you know what I mean? Like the constant, stream of bullshit around something that's meant to be a good part of your life. It just gets you down. And look, the way Twitter is as well, you don't even have to follow some of these blurts. Twitter puts their posts up in front of your face, whether you like it or not. And it seems to me no matter what, just people aren't happy. Transfer window, I just think, is a shit show on social media. I don't think there's anything, any club can ever do that is enough for some people. And so, it's not just some Liverpool fans, it's some football fans, full stop. There's like this culture of just always demanding more and always demanding another player and a fresh new toy, if you like. And I just think it's it's grim, like getting away from the idea of supporting your football club here. And like even this week, I'm seeing someone somewhere with LFC in their name has clipped some section of training, and now this and this very small clip of Nunes is going round, and apparently it means he's the shittest football player ever. And it's just like, I'm not being funny. Like every football player ever has like scuffed a shot or scuffed a cross or fucked something up somewhere along the way. But the previous players wouldn't be getting these clips all over the internet and it becoming almost a story online about oh look what he did here type of thing. It just, I just find it incredibly grim. Like it's just like I've really enjoyed, sort of since I left the Anfield app, just going the match and sort of rediscovering going the match with my friends. I've been with my son a couple of times as well, and just sort of not listening to the noise for a little bit. And I would highly recommend not listening to the noise for a little bit and just remembering why you support your footy club and all that kind of stuff, because sometimes it can be quite overwhelming, the negativity and the stuff that brings you down around your club all the time.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. It reminds me of kids that get everything are spoiled brats, and at Christmas morning they're still not bleeding happy with all the presents that they got underneath the Christmas tree. That's like the transfer window. You know what I mean? Okay, we probably could have did better, but that's another bleeding podcast. But just be happy with what you got. And the last 4 or 5 years, Gareth, as you know, we've been talking about it loads of times. You've been talking about it when you're at the wrap, even when I've been talking to you. You've got to enjoy the good times. If you cannot enjoy the good times, when Liverpool are on top in European Cup finals, up against the bleeding oil state like Man City, bring them right down to the last 15 minutes in the league game, winning 2 cups, doing this, doing that, top-class players at the top of their form, Mo Salahs, Van Dijks, these type players. If you're not enjoying that and you're giving out, what is wrong with you? You'll never be happy. You'll never be happy.
I'm not, I'm sure someone somewhere will watch this and say, well, I was happy and I did enjoy it, but equally, I'm allowed to say I'm frustrated that Liverpool didn't buy another midfielder or whatever. And that's there's absolutely nothing wrong with that viewpoint. That would probably be what my own is. You know what I mean? I think Liverpool obviously did look to buy a midfielder. He ended up at Real Madrid, Tchouaméni, and then it didn't seem like he really had are back up, and then it seems a little bit like they've panicked, got in someone late in the window again, and now he's employing all kinds of people to try and get up to speed fitness wise, and he's playing in the oven chips cup or whatever. And it's I think some of the criticism is fair enough. I just it's the incessant nature of it. It's like, okay, well, we know what, like, as a collective, the club maybe did get it wrong in terms of they should have brought one more in, but they haven't now, and the window's closed. So what are we just going to talk about it like incessantly until January, or are we going to just let it go and go, okay, let's get behind the Reds that actually play for us now, and let's see where we end up. Let's try and enjoy the footy the best we can. I mean, look, the Reds haven't been great, have they, this season so far? And I think we all got excited, didn't we? You watched the Charity Shield. You beat Man City in that manner, and you think, yeah, I've seen this in the eyes of these players before. They're raring to go. They're going to bounce back from the disappointments of last season, because although last season was great and everything went to the wire and we played the maximum number of games, to come away with the two cups we did and to lose out on the two we did, I think there is an obvious psychological blow there. But they've came back from psychological blows before, and I'm sure I wasn't alone in thinking, yeah, they'll bounce back. They've got it in them to bounce back. And then you see the City game, you think, here we go, flying. We're going to absolutely take off. We're going to win the first 10 in a row or whatever. We're going to be right up there. Yeah. And then it hasn't panned out that way, obviously. And there's been poor performances, but there's a. I think they've left themselves a lot to do. I would say that. I think, being realistic now, the standards that are set and all the rest of it. You mentioned City and their backers, and they've had yet more, should we say, strange. Well, I was going to say about the yet more strange deals around sponsorship, etc. Let's use that phrase. But it's all of that can get a little bit depressing as well. I think, I still find that bizarre in a way, to be honest, mate, about how much hatred or online hatred there is around Liverpool and Klopp and Liverpool's fans and all this. And it's like, well, you know what? If we were shite, if we were genuinely shite, and like, say we finished the season in 8th where we are now, well, one, imagine what social media would look like. It'd be like scorched earth. But two, City will just allow City to run away with it, wouldn't it?
It'd be a farmers' league. It'd be like a farmers' league.
How boring would that be? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And look, you look at the odds and things like that, and like Arsenal are sort of closing in on Liverpool in terms of odds to win the title this season because of their start, and and because of Liverpool's start. So at the start of the season, Liverpool and City are obvious favourites. Then as the season's gone on, the way it's panned out, and the fact that we're already significant number of points, 8 points or so back. Obviously Liverpool's odds have lengthened and Arsenal's have shortened. But come on, I mean, like, I think looking at those odds almost tells its own story. Like, do we really think Arsenal are going to be there in May? Or do we really think Liverpool will be there? I still think there's loads of scope for Liverpool to bounce back. There's loads of unknowns about the season. It's
going to be a crazy season, Gareth, with the World Cup, and it's truncated.
Exactly. That offers loads of opportunity for things to go wrong for everyone, including Man City. So, like, Man City could get a rash of injuries all of a sudden. And okay, you'd probably say, well, I'm sure they're well equipped to cope with it. But if there's a key players, or there's a key players in one position and things like that, we've seen how it can railroad your season. Equally, if Liverpool could, and we're all praying to the stars, aren't we? But if Liverpool could have a bit of a run of fortune around injuries for once, instead of it being, continually against us, which is a bit what it's felt like, and certain players rediscovered form and stuff like that. I mean, that might be a lot of factors to be wishing for, but it's not. It's not out the equation, is it? And I always think, the thing about football and investing time and money into football is that there's hope. You know what I mean? And if you don't think there's hope, there's almost no point in doing football. I always remember, like, I'm one of the first to take the piss out of Everton over the years, and I think that's part of football, and it's something I've always enjoyed. And there's people who cross the line and blah 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 blah. But there was one. I remember Neville Southall doing an interview where he said, "What a goalie he was, by the way."
Yeah, top class.
He said once that every season, when Everton, start the season, he's like, Everton can win the league. And to me, that is how it should be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You should harbour at least some thoughts that your side can achieve some kind of football miracle. Because if not, like, what's the point? So if you're sitting at home and you're a Liverpool fan, you're like, that's it, season's over, we're shite, no chance. I'm just going to gripe about the Reds all season long, 24/7, whatever. I mean, what a shite existence that is. I'm still hopeful, and I have still got that hope that Liverpool can go on this season and win things. I think the league, unfortunately, the way the league's panned out the last few years, the league looks a big shout already.
It's not impossible. But, I mean, it's going to be hard. We've made it hard on ourselves, Gareth. You know what
100%.
I mean? We've made it hard on ourselves.
You're starting to demand something that's required or close to perfection anyway, to being even closer to perfect now.
And you also need other teams to slip up, which is out of your hands.
Yeah.
Like, you can only control your own destiny, but
exactly.
you need to beat City home and away for a start. Really.
Yeah. And you don't want to be dropping some of the points that we've dropped already and things like that. So I totally get, like, there's the sort of the dark clouds of misery descending over people and all that. But I just think some of it's really over the top. And, we've got a January window there for those that absolutely love transfers and obsess over them. So there will be opportunity to do something there. And look, you got the impression from Klopp as well, didn't you, that there haven't been many times since he's been here where you felt like he's genuinely pissed off.
It's the first time I've ever seen him pissed off in a few interviews. Yeah.
That's what I mean. So, and look, he might have been in the past, but he's never let it out. He's kept it under. He's played the game, but this time around, it looked like he was. And he obviously came out, didn't he, and said, look, maybe I got it wrong about midfielders and all that kind of stuff. And then they've got one in last minute. To see what happens with him. We don't know. As I say, he's only knocking around playing in the Chips Cup at the moment, so we don't know, do we? But seemingly he's hired all these experts to get fit over the international break and all that. So fair play. So we'll see.
It might turn out, Gareth, as a little gem. You never know.
It'd be nice, wouldn't it? And that's another one. That's another one of what we just talked about, isn't it, Dave? It would be nice if it did for once. Do you know what I mean? Because it feels like we've sort of spun the wheel a few times on loans here and there, and they don't. Kabak didn't work out, did it?
Davies didn't work out. Ben Davies didn't even get a sniff, did he?
Ben Davies didn't even get a sniff yet. I mean, God knows what that was about, really. Sarkin, players, all these players that come in and not really. Be nice if one did. Do you know what I mean? And also, they obviously still, there's a piece today, isn't there, about still being linked to Bellingham and stuff like that. So we'll see. I think, like, it's absolutely fine to not like the owners, to not trust the owners, to have your doubts about the owners, all of that. But I think as well, though, and I think you were alluding to it yourself, mate, before, the years that we've had in recent times, the trophies that have been brought home, the things that we've achieved, there's got to be a level of trust from that's been earned from that. And they burnt some trust by the Super League proposal. They burnt a bit more probably by being a bit
the furlough. Remember that?
Overly conservative in the transfer markets at times, all the rest of it. And you can do the thing of saying, oh well, if it wasn't for Klopp, X, Y, Z. But they recruited Klopp, and Klopp has stayed around, and Klopp signed new contracts and all the rest of it. So I just think, and I love the bones of the fella, and I'm not alone in that, am I? And I just think, you've just got to keep it under a bit. We all have that burning thing about our footy club where you're desperate for them to win and desperate for them to be successful every season. But I just think as you get a bit older, you just like, you're allowed to just say sometimes, just keep it under here. Do you know what I mean? Chill the fuck out. We'll be all right. Yeah. See what happens. We're not shite. We're not going down. We're not going to miss out on, like Europe and things like that. This isn't a crisis after what is it, 6 league games for Liverpool? Yeah. Got one game in hand on quite a few clubs above us. It's not great to see unbeaten sides above you, obviously, and there's a couple, isn't there? Tottenham as well as City. And it's not great to see Haaland putting all them goals away and all the rest of it. but plenty can still happen. You know what I mean? Things can
No,
change.
listen, I'm upbeat as I usually
Oh,
am.
of course you are, Dave.
Upbeat.
Of course you are.
I'm upbeat about Liverpool. Like, I think the break might have come at the right time as well, Gareth, for us when, and obviously the Queen passed away and stuff like that. We missed the Wolves game, the Chelsea game. We're going to have to fit them in. I know other teams will have to fit them in as well. You have a World Cup coming up in November. Now, that is going to be weird. There's going to be a lot of weird stuff happening this season.
Yeah.
So no one's throwing in any tells here, baby. You know what I mean? We're not throwing in any tells.
Absolutely. Let's see what happens.
But before we go, obviously, Liverpool, we get our players back, and we be ready to rock. I think it's Brighton next game at Anfield. This is a Saturday week, you know, about 10 days.
October, yeah.
But before we go, obviously, I did say I'd mentioned this, but I remember watching Anfield rap live shows. It'd usually be you and Craig or someone like that, or maybe you and John Gibbons, and you always would end up talking about crisps at the end of it and snacks and flavors of fucking crisps. And everybody in the comments, I've thrown in a few comments myself, but they actually used to send you crisps, didn't they? Boxes of crisps.
Unbelievable amounts of crisps. I mean, in the last week I was actually at the wrap. There was a subscriber who sent over a huge box full of all kinds of gear from America, stuff I'd never heard of, and he'd spent a fortune on getting it over there, and it was the stuff was unbelievable as well. It was a great hurrah in terms of the crisp. But yeah, I mean, the engagement with the crisp side of things was mad. But I think for me, one of the best things about doing the wrap for over the years was that I never felt as though I was anyone special. I was just a normal fella who's gone the match since I was a kid, who loves Liverpool, who loves the Reds, who loves the city. And it was just talking about that. And, we'd veer off into mad places, like talking about crisps, because, most people eat crisps, don't they? And I think it was as simple as that. Like, we got talking about crisps and people related to it because everyone's got favourite crisps. Do you know what I mean? And they tend to be different. So, someone will quite gladly argue with you for 10 minutes or more on why beef Space Raiders aren't the best. But they are.
Are they your favourites, Eddie?
I could sit here and eat 10 packets of them beauties. Quality, them, mate.
A packet of those Space Raiders and a Liverpool win. That's your fucking dream, baby.
I'm a simple man like that, you know what I mean? Easily pleased, Dave.
What more would you bloody want? But listen, I think we leave it there because, look, it's been nice. It's been great to talk about the Reds. Great to see you, of course, and you're doing well. Fair play to you for coming on. Really appreciate it. I know the Reds are going to do better. So do you. So do the real Liverpool fans. We all know Liverpool are going to get back on the horse and get ready to rock. Trust in Klopp. Trust in the team. Stay safe. That was Gareth Roberts. Thank you very much for coming on, bro. Cheers.